up, John?
What's up, Alex? How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for asking. So today, Alex, we're going to be talking about your short film Seeking.
Yeah.
Um, my initial question is because when at least when I received it, it was divided like in parts. Was
Mhm.
this like an episodic short series, or was it your intention was fully to be like what now is a short film?
Well, yeah, I initially shot everything and wrote everything kind of as like a digital series, and so that was kind of how we shot it. So we have those breaks in between, and it's in the in Dances with Films. It's in the pilot's presentation, so it's kind of more the first four episodes as kind of like a half-hour pilot. But what I love about the project is that we shot 8 episodes of a digital series, which can work as like a season one of a digital series. And then the first four episodes that Dances with Films decided to put in their pilot block can also work as a single camera half hour comedy. But then if you look at the 8 episodes as a whole, that can also work as like an hour single camera comedy as well. So it's kind of like it fits into a couple different genres where I kind of like that because it's like whatever people are into, they can kind of get something out of it.
Okay, and where does your initial idea comes for this comedy series? Because I do see and notice that you have a mixture of like a lot of other popular comedies inside of it. So I think that one of the things that it's mentioned like on the not on the synopsis but on the information, one is Will and Grace. And for me, I saw so many other things like How I Met Your Mother, and
Right.
these other modern, like more modern series or comedy series. So it gave me a little bit much more of a vibe of How I Met Your Mother, because your character is like I forgot his name, but is represents so much of the I forgot the name of the character, but the character that always was like legendary, saying legendary in the show.
Oh, is
I
that
don't
Neil
remember.
Patrick
Neil
Harris?
Patrick Harris, yes.
Oh, that would okay. I'll take it. I love him. Yeah, the I think I was very I watched a lot of TV growing up. I was a sitcom fan. Like I couldn't get enough of them. But I think also like 30 Rock is such a comedic touchstone for me. Tina Fey, I love her writing. She can basically do no wrong in my eyes. So when I had this idea to write this series back like in the day like 2012, I think I just had all of those voices in my head. So the writing style just kind of came out that way because that's something that I really, really love. And so I don't mind it getting compared to any comedic series, especially one that's done as well as How I Met Your Mother. So
It is your plan to continue this as a series, or would you like it to be like a full length film?
I would really like to continue it as a series. I think especially with roommate comedies and with where these characters are starting right now, you can get into such interesting relationships with people, especially in New York, especially in roommate living, just out of happenstance of you moved into an apartment because it was cheap enough for you and your stuff fit there, and then all of a sudden you have two roommates that you didn't know before, and sometimes that can be a great thing. Like you form these relationships that you wouldn't have had otherwise that are outside of your friend circle, and so I think what's great about that is then we get to follow these three kind of different people. Maybe two knew each other before, but two didn't. And you kind of get to follow and see them grow. So I think right now the idea is to kind of let it keep going, let all the characters go on their own kind of journey with and without the roommates. And then when they come to a place where their lives are getting so big and so interesting that they decide to move out of the apartment, that's probably where the series would end.
Okay, and I did one of the things that caught my eye. Like, so it was for me. It was interesting and funny at the same time. There's one part that they are in the bar, and one of the friends is like, "Oh, but we record everything in the house. There was cameras set up everywhere." I like the fact that you added as well, like a an additional, how can I say this? Like an additional thought to like how sometimes we can see things online, because that's very, very common now. Everything is a reality show. So it Was that part of like your writing process, because you did put the whole sitcom aspect as well, as so well on it, but you added as well like that aspect of like reality show. Will we see that more often throughout the series?
I feel like if we do, what I think is great about that is that was all the Lauren character's idea, and I think that character is so ambitious and driven as an actress that she's trying to get it done no matter what, whether that is like, you know, having a subscription only based platform online, or recording everything she does to possibly sell as a reality show. I think that's like a driving force of the Lauren character that I really want to explore in future seasons. But that, yeah, I brought it in as comedy because it's like it's really funny when people are being recorded and they don't know. It's not the greatest, but that's why Colt is like, take everything down. This is bad. We're not doing this. Like, but it's funny to see what happened while he didn't know what was going on.
If you would like to take this to a broader audience, do you think that this should be that your seeking should be broadcasted either on TV or on streaming? Being the fact that streaming is mostly the most popular option now, but still TV is relevant. What would be like your choice if you had the opportunity to choose either of these two platforms?
I would I honestly wouldn't mind either. I really like kind of like in the tradition of like a Hacks or the other two. Like I like when an episodic is on a streaming, but it doesn't just drop all right away, so that you can
Okay.
kind of like as you go. So something like that might be ideal. So it's like you get like maybe the first two episodes, and then you can like stream the rest. Like so, I would say maybe released as more of a traditional network in more of a traditional network TV way, but on streaming, just so that it can be more accessible to everyone who wants to have access to it.
Yeah, something like for instance, some of the series that are releasing now that they're dropping like an episode every week,
Yeah.
have it like that, but in streaming platform. That would be great. And where did the inspiration come from? Having three friends in in an apartment, having these crazy ideas like, hey, we need somebody else. She left. We need to do something. Where did that inspiration come from? Besides the fact that you have already mentioned that you love sitcoms, you grew with them, but was there an initial like something that made initial inspiration to do it?
Well, necessity is the mother of getting more roommates, basically. So I just living and growing up in New York City as an actor, you have to do what you need to do to make ends meet, to pay the rent. And so if something happens to where a roommate abruptly moves out, that's usually like an oh crap on yourself of like, how am I wait, we all have to pay in like another third of how are we going to do that? So it's just the reality of the situation in New York. It's that everyone's there, everyone's pitching in for the rent. If one of those goes away, we all have to figure it out. How do we do it? And that brings up different things for people. It's like, oh, I'll just work, I'll get another job. And some people don't want to do that. And they're like, well, it's your responsibility because that person moved out. So, so that was like just where that storyline came from. But that's really just true to life. I think if you're living in an apartment with roommates and one of them moves out, you got to figure it out.
That is true. That is true. Now, being the fact that you're part of the cast of these three roommates, if by any means in the future this gets caught by a studio or a production company, will you still be interested in playing your character, or will you be open to have a casting the casting portion to cast your character? Because I understand that you are the director and writer, so that's why I asked, because I have already interviewed people that have done everything at the same time and they do phenomenal performances and work, but I want to know your outtake about it.
I really think the chemistry that we have between Demarius, Darius, and myself, it's really special, and so I'd really love to keep that if at all possible. Like I know, these boys are working actors and working performers as well. So I can't like, be like, hey, come back and do this immediately and give up everything else you're doing. So I can't say that. I would love us to, should this get picked up, to see it through. Um, and it is tough. It is tough wearing a lot of hats. I didn't direct this, but I did write it and created it, and I was basically like show writing, script supervising. I was costuming it. I was even crafty. I was like buying food for everybody too. So it was just like a lot of hats. I'm hoping that some of those hats could go away, and I could concentrate on maybe just the writing and acting part if it's picked up. But yeah, I like. There's the I think it was Paul Downs who helps co-write and co-create Hacks. He also worked on Broad City. He goes in front of the camera to play parts as well, and he helps or basically writes the whole series as well. That's an ideal for me. I would love to be writing something and be in it, just because then you kind of have a full like vision of the world of what works and what works for the show, for the characters and everyone involved.
You did mention that you wanted to explore each character throughout your series. Will you be making like some other shows do, like first, like let's say, first, this is me going to the future, you know what I mean? uh will it be like first season is like introduction to your characters, these are the your three main characters that you will see throughout the show, and then probably season 2 3 you will be dividing them for each one, like they can go in more, a little deeper to their stories and to their background.
Well, there is always the idea of and I do like when series do that, where they dedicate maybe one episode to like one character's journey. I think there's definitely room for that. I like seeing, especially with these characters with roommates, I like seeing how they grow together and how they grow apart. And I think that's what's interesting about relationships in general, is that everyone's on their own path and growing and doing what they want to do, what they want to achieve. But we all have our family that we also like have to coexist with at the same time. And in this case, that's the chosen family of the three boys there. So that's an interesting dynamic to play with, and I think that's interesting to watch, and it's interesting certainly for me to write about. And so when I say everyone's going to go on their own journey, it's like I want to see them all evolve as individuals and also evolve as a family, and then eventually that'll probably like dissipate, and they'll probably still remain very close, but they won't be living together anymore, so that just changes.
In your series, are we going to get to see more of the housewives show that it's presented? Because I was so into it when it was like, when the show started, I was like, okay, well, what is this? And then there's the scene where you have both characters like talking, not talking about it, but then he's like, "Oh, yeah, I'm watching this. Hey, then I'll get up and let's hang out." Will we see more about the of that show inside the show?
There was and I think initially I didn't have the little kind of like mileposts of Vandy talking, but I really liked that. I liked that idea of her talking about something that was like kind of relevant to the episode that was going to happen. My director had the idea that it was kind of just ever present, or we would ever like every once in a while, if they were at the bar, it'd just be playing on the screen in the background. And then as we went out of a scene, we might like zoom in and they might be saying something related to what's going on in the series. And I was like, I like playing with that idea. So if it's picked up and it's reworked, it would be a fun kind of element to play with. And I think it just keeps it light. It keeps it funny. And I get to use my fabulous drag friends to play those roles, especially Suddenly Seymour. Oh my God, she can do no wrong.
No, no, I had to ask because it is so great to see how sometimes some shows want to make like their own universe inside the show. Like there is like a show inside the show. That's why I asked, because it's so funny and so great to see. And this will be my last question, Alex. If you could describe in one word this whole series, Seeking, which one would it be?
One word. Oh my goodness. The word family is coming to mind. I don't know if that does it justice, but it's about chosen family. It's about like the funny, terrible, wonderful, awful things that everyone goes through with those people that we choose to be around. So, family.
Family. Yeah, I dig it. I did it. I loved it. I loved it. So, Alex, thank you very much for giving us the time to talk about Seeking. Phenomenal show. I hope to one day sit down and binge watch it because I loved it and hope to see you again. But instead of talking about a short, talk about the show.
I would love that too. Thanks so much, John. Appreciate it.
No problem. Have a nice day.
Yep.